Hey there, Micah. It's good to see you again. I think we're doing this live for the second time, so the first time must have gone off pretty good.
Must have, yeah. No complaints yet, right?
Right. Yeah. I just got back from the Gartner GRC conference this week.
Yeah, how was it?
It was really awesome. We throw a big party there, so that's of course the funnest bit. But we had like 120 people on a sunset cruise down the Potomac River, kind of past the Capitol building and back. And it was just beautiful evening in DC. Yeah, it was really wonderful.
How do I get invited to that next time, Justin?
Let's make sure and put you in the marketing budget, Micah. I think just two highlights from that was the number one compliance topic at Gartner GRC was around cybersecurity maturity model certification, the CMMC. And certainly, I think one big topic was that some fines or essentially lawsuits have been levied against some federal government contractors that claim to be CMMC compliant, but when they went and audited them at the government, they weren't. And so I think that organizations are starting to see the real risk around not being compliant if you're dealing with confidential unclassified information. And I know we have a webinar coming up where we're going to dig into CMMC in some more details, but that was the big hot topic, Micah, I think, at Gartner. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And it's good news because, Justin, I'm going to show you a bunch of CMMC features today.
What? It's almost like we planned it.
I wish, yeah.
Yeah, let's dig in then. That's of course the point of these is we get a chance to meet with our Chief Product Officer, Micah Spieler, and myself. And I think kind of what our idea on these events is that we get to open up some of the ways in which we talk about the product that we're building and what it does. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I want to just say a quick hello to all of our beloved customers who've joined us now. I'm excited to walk through the product and where we're at. I've got some stuff that's available already for folks, and then I'm going to tease a couple of features that are still in development. So you'll have to bear with me, Justin. If things break live on camera, it's what we do. So Justin mentioned, of course, we're leaning into CMMC. It's becoming, more and more critical for a lot of our existing customers to be compliant so they can continue to maintain their government contracts. It's also, CMMC, as much as it is a DoD framework, it is also just a pretty good, robust framework, right? It's got a lot of really good industry best practices in it. And there's a lot of tools and processes kind of built around it too. So it can be one, if you do want to strengthen your compliance posture, your security posture, it's a really good tool to consider. Even if you're just doing the self-assessment, and not going all the way through with an audit, it's always something that's there. And it aligns pretty decently with, ISO or SOC 2. So if you're already compliant with one of those two, the lift to finish a level 2 self-assessment or something like that for CMMC is not terrible. But of course, we want to help our customers get that done as best as possible. And I know, Justin, in previous roundups here, you and I have taken a look at like our system security plan. So of course we've got that. The system security plan is really similar to the system description in SOC 2, right? It describes your posture, how you're protecting customer data and confidential user information, and other stuff like that. We are rolling out the capability to add images to these little text box areas too in this upcoming release. So folks will be able to add network diagrams or org charts or other things that they need to do there. And yeah, so, this feature still exists and of course is available for our CMMC customers. The newer thing, which...
And Micah, before we move off, just one thing that I think is really about CMMC that's a little different, right, is even if you're doing a self-assessment, you have to submit a system security plan with your government contract, as a part of the procurement process. So there's a certain amount of rigor. And essentially the system security plan is not only the system description, but it does include all the controls with all the mappings back to the framework, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's this bottom section that's called the security requirements. And this is the part that, obviously using a GRC system like StrikeGraph, we're really trying to streamline this process because otherwise you'd have to constantly, look at what new controls you've got in place, copy paste all the descriptions and who the responsible party is and whether or not it's implemented into your SSP and send that along. And so we do all of that automatically here. Also, as you are working on other NIST frameworks too, you can actually switch between them, and this will automatically update too. So as you upgrade to the R3 version of 171, for example, right, that'll be a really seamless process because you won't have to recreate a new SSP. You just switch over to the new framework and you're kind of good to go. And then same thing if you want to do the CSF, the NIST CSF. We can the SSP isn't a requirement for CSF necessarily, but we can still map the security requirements to your controls and everything there. So it can still be really helpful for those folks. And again, if you're switching between the three, we've got that capability for you.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, so I was going to show off the next CMMC feature that we've got available. This is our self-assessment feature. So, depending on your level of familiarity with CMMC, Justin, I know you were just at the event, so you became very well-versed in, CMMC requirements and stuff. But CMMC has 3 levels. There's level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 3, just transparently, is not really, it's poorly documented yet. They haven't quite figured out what the full assessment practice is for that. So really, most folks just look at level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is, of course, your introduction to CMMC, and it is entirely self-assessed, right? So there isn't an auditor that participates in your level 1 program. So it's a great starting point for most people. And the most critical step in level 1 compliance is completing the self-assessment. It sort of is the stand-in for actually going through a full audit, right? Mm-hmm. And with the self-assessment, what you essentially do is you go through and score yourself, your implementation status, for all of the NIST 171 requirements. And so we've built a tool that walks you through that. So you can see in this organization, we've already started our self-assessment. We're at 116 already, but we can pop back in here and continue and just take a look at what the process is like. So in here, what we do is we show you the NIST requirements. We describe it. We give you the opportunity to look at any of the child requirements too. So some of the implementation details that you may or may not be aware of, you can take a look at those here. You look at the controls that you have in place. So in this case, for this requirement, we have a logical access control mapped to it, but it's not in place yet, right? And so then on the self-assessment side here, we'll go through and give it a score. So in this case, I would say it's not implemented because our linked control is not in place. And CMMC requests that you leave a comment if you are not fully implemented, right? And so usually these comments are statements as to potentially why you're not fully implemented yet, or your plan to be fully implemented. It's especially useful when you're marking something as not applicable, right? Because then you would need to give justification for what that is. So, with this not implemented, we can say adding this to our plan of action or something like that, right? We've got the comment in there. We can hit save, and get that final score value in here, and then move along to the next one. And so I'm just going to skip ahead to a couple more. Here's another one. This one, I've got one that's partially in place and one that's not in place. Similarly, I might do partially implemented and say plan to implement logical access. So the nice thing here is, again, you can step through this and go through all of the different scores. But then once you're done, we keep a running tally here of your final score. And so as you're working on government contracts in particular, you're likely going to encounter the fact that you have to upload this score into the SPRS system, and that's the government's contractor vendor database place. And so this score directly translates to those SPRS scores, which is really handy. And then that's also sometimes where you might include the SSP or another document that you've got. You can also, of course, pop right into a specific score too if you are coming back to reevaluate or other things like that. So we can see here for this one, we had scored that it wasn't in place. So I could just go ahead and pull this one back up. Let's say we've got our logical access now, and we can say, great, this is now fully implemented. And I can remove my comment, hit save, and we'll see, of course, that score update up here. So really powerful. You can also reset your scores. So as you're doing annual scoring evaluations, you can, kind of clear everything out and score it again, which is really helpful. And yeah, that's that feature.
It's a big innovation, I think, in just the compliance space broadly to start doing these quantitatively, right? Like all the frameworks and assessment methodologies that we've seen so far are pass fail. Yeah.
Right. And they're so qualitative too, because an auditor is coming in and applying their opinion, right? And it's not necessarily like how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how compliant are you? It is, to your point, me as the auditor say you're not compliant. And so this is a nice way of having that measurement step in place.
Now, this thing has a little more teeth in it, though, than like a security questionnaire, because we're dealing with, either a federal government contractor, like we're a vendor for a federal government contractor, or the federal government themselves. And we've seen the Department of Homeland Security already levying these fines, right? Like if you put in a self-assessment score and then they come back and want to audit you for it, and you're not actually meeting that self-assessment score, that's where the fine got levied. So I think they're putting it back on us as teams to be like, we're representing ourselves accurately in our work.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to answer the question that just popped into the Q&A, these features are available, the SSP and the self-assessment. If it's not already enabled in your account, you might just need to reach out to your customer success manager to see if it's included in your plan, and or get it turned on. So those are available for people.
Thanks, Micah.
Yeah. Okay, so the third kind of leg to the stool that is CMMC is the POAM, the Plan of Action and Milestones document. And truly what this is a to-do list, to say it, kind of at the highest level. Really what folks are looking for is that if you are not fully implemented on any of the requirements for CMMC, you have a plan in place that says how you're going to get compliant with that in the next 90 days. And depending on which level of assessment you're going for, your auditor, if you're going for level 2, may wait to complete your full assessment until you have completed your POAM, or use your POAM as part of their evaluation. And so what we're building for this feature is something that we're calling action items. And I'm going to pop over to my dev environment here because this is currently in development. It should be released rather soon, but want to give you a sneak peek if possible. And so you can see over here now we've added a new main navigation item that is called action items. This will eventually be the list of action items that you have open, as well as any of the other ones that have already been completed. I'm going to ignore this for now because it's not hooked up and it's just fake action items. But let me show you how this workflow will generally work. So if you're going through your CMMC self-assessment and you've identified that you are deficient in one area, like here, this limits system access types of transactions, you can click in here and you can add an action item. So with action items, you'll of course give it a name and a description. You'll type out what your action plan is, right? So maybe this is like coordinating with, the marketing team or the tech team or the QA team, whatever that might be. Give it a priority if you want. But then most importantly is you assign an owner to it. That's the person who's responsible for ensuring this action item is completed, and then a due date. And again, the due dates will be limited to the next 90 days, right, to ensure that you are operating in compliance with CMMC. And so once you complete that or you create that action item, it'll then show up in your action items list. You can go through and tackle that depending on what it might be. You might also want to map it to an evidence item specifically, because you are missing evidence of a control being in place, or maybe you'll map it to a control, and that'll be the thing, that you want to make sure is fully implemented. But again, you'll be able to monitor those action items directly in the product here. They'll have notifications as you're approaching due dates, or if they're past due. It'll be fully read and all of that kind of stuff. And so yeah, that'll be really great. You'll be able to export that and hand it off to your auditor as well as part of your audit export package.
And the POAM is another one of those required documents in CMMC. It's like we're starting to realize as we talk more about the assessment methodology that the system security plan, the self-assessment score, and the POAM, plan of action and milestones, are the types of things that the government or your prime contractor, if you're a sub, are going to kind of require to effectively stay in compliance with your commercial agreements.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's, the work we're putting into CMMC. I'm really excited to see all this work continue to hit production. Again, just to reiterate, the SSP feature, Justin, and the self-assessment feature, those are both available. So if, folks are interested, definitely reach out. And we can get those turned on for you. And the action items will be coming pretty quick here. We're just wrapping up a couple implementation details, and we'll have that out as well, which is really fun. So I've got a couple other features, Justin, to show you if you've got time.
I got time. Yeah, let's do it. I think you got a couple minutes, though. You might have to breeze through.
Yeah, I will. So of course we're constantly building AI into the product. We, have been thinking about AI from the start of StrikeGraph. Actually, we implemented our data model in such a way that AI would be able to leverage a lot of the data that customers are putting in, and we wanted to make sure that that was something that we could do securely with our own development tools. So we self-host all of our AI tools. We really want to ensure, again, that security and data privacy is at the forefront of all of the different features that we develop around that. So the nice thing there, is there's no risk of large language models accidentally getting trained on your data and then leaking that to other people. We can't really hack our large language models because, again, they're within our firewall. And we're not using customer data to train the generative AI large language models. So again, we're really taking that seriously. But one feature that we've had for a while is a feature for security questionnaires. However, we are enhancing this with our security assistant, with the brains essentially of our security assistant, right? So
I just want to say we launched our security questionnaire feature in like 2021, Micah. I'm always very proud of how far ahead we were.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was using natural language models that were, ahead of their time, but have been largely kind of replaced by the large language model space. And so it's been fun to get Security Assistant off the ground, and then now, use that tool to enhance some of our other features. So really quick preview of this, the way that our questionnaires feature will work is pretty straightforward. You'll upload your security report. In the new feature, you can upload the Excel file directly, with all the wild and wonky formatting that we all have come to grin and bear from security questionnaires. We facilitate a process for you to say which sheets potentially in that Excel document actually have questions on them, because some of them are just instructions. But once you've got that uploaded, then we'll have our security questionnaire will list those out, and security assistant will then go through and attempt to answer them for you, right? And so this will be more robust answers than we've had in the past in our questionnaires feature, and all of this will get pulled in here. You'll see, in some of these testings, security questionnaires saying, I can't find that information. I can't find that information. The cool thing here is you can upload evidence of this information, and then security assistant will be able to use that to answer questions moving forward. So this will be a really exciting opportunity here for our customers to streamline that whole process. The thing that I'm the most excited about is you can download the security questionnaires directly back into the original format that you uploaded them in. So, again, when your vendor or your prospect has potentially again, lots of different colors or scoring schemes or whatever that is inside their Excel document, we'll put it right back in there for you so that you don't have to do a bunch of that copy pasting back and forth there.
That's pretty crazy, Mike, just from a technical perspective. Like, I wasn't sure I thought that was possible.
I mean, I'll tell you, kudos to Josh Buller's our current head of AI and engineering. I was very, very firm that was a requirement, and he figured it out. So
nice work. Yeah,
agreed.
that's phenomenal.
That's a pretty big one. We're also adding a bunch of new integrations. I'm looking to see, I don't have it turned on in this one, so I'm going to pop back over to our demo environment here. But we just added an integration for ClickUp, which is a workflow and documentation tool that's out there. And so we've got that integration now. We're working on one for service now, Justin. So that'll be a big lift for a lot of folks who want to integrate there.
That was an ask at Gartner. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, ServiceNow is a beast, and so there's a lot of opportunity there. And so I'll just say to our customers, if you have any systems that you have really been craving integration with, definitely highlight those for your customer success manager, and we'll see if we can get them on their list or on our list, because I think that'll be really, really great. We've got a couple other Verify AI features coming, Justin, that I'm going to tell you about. I can't demo them quite yet because I don't want to spoil the fun. Plus, if I told you now, if I showed them to you now, what would we talk about next time, right? But we're working on a Verify AI feature that we're calling the evidence coverage analysis. And essentially what this will do is at your control, inside your control library, it'll look at your controls. It'll take into consideration the criteria that the controls are mapped to and looking to satisfy. And then it'll review your evidence for you and your evidence description to ensure that you have adequate coverage to meet the requirements of those framework criteria. On top of that,
Micah, hold on. That's crazy. I mean, that there is $100 billion global compliance consultant industry that just does that. Like, that's what they do. Yeah.
Listen, if we've got any consultants on the call, and if you want to use Verify AI to do your job for you and just sit around and collect the money, I'm here for it. I will help you streamline your work too. But the cool thing, Justin, is that if if it finds a discrepancy, right? Maybe there's a firewall that you're missing or, something like that. It'll make the recommendation for you to create that evidence, and then Security Assistant will pick that up for you and create it, and map it as you need it to and everything. So that'll be really robust. It'll also offer description tweaks depending on what some of the requirements might be, which then further enhances Verify AI at the evidence layer, right? Because that is using the description to test the attachments that you're actually adding, right? So we're starting to really get this full picture, right, of your whole compliance program, and then giving that to Verify AI to automate a lot of that testing. This is great for the continuous compliance practice that we see a lot of our customers really leaning into. As well as just feeling really confident heading into your next audit because you've had that continuous testing kind of happen alongside everything. So I'm really excited for that to roll out. We're part of the way through the development cycle on that, but it shouldn't be too long before we can demo that. So fingers crossed, next product roundup we'll be able to showcase that feature.
So exciting! Yeah, it's really amazing. I think you and I, in building this product, have had a couple of really important themes. Security, of course. We have to be secure. We have to be compliant. We have to communicate how valuable and set an example for our customers and their customers, and just the way we've architected. And the second is like 10 years worth of innovation on a single platform, right? If we designed a good data model, the right kind of precision understanding about the customers, what makes customers successful, then over a decade, we will layer on innovation that no other platform can bring to market. And I think it's worked really well for us. Yeah.
No, it's been fun. And of course, kudos to our engineering and product team. They're the ones behind the scenes doing all the hard work. They've pushed out a lot of additional sort of quality of life improvements for customers. So, you can now quickly duplicate evidence at a control level. So if you're looking at your control and you're like, oh, I've got 3 firewalls, that I need to collect evidence from, it's really quick to make those 3 different evidence items now. Super, super handy. They've also added some additional features to the enterprise content management feature. That's the federated security mode that we have for our enterprise customers who are managing compliance across multiple different satellite offices or different organizations. You can now publish attachments directly from one organization to the other, right? So that's really helpful at that scale level. And I think within a couple of weeks here, we'll have the opportunity to hook that into the automated collection functionality as well, so that as the evidence in the primary organization is getting collected automatically, it'll automatically get published down to the subsidiaries. So that I know has saved a lot of our customers a ton of time with their sort of like corporate-wide compliance programs and their corporate-wide audits. I forget the number, but we had one customer go through a CMMC audit with I think 4 or 5 different organizations at once. And we got feedback from that auditor that the process was incredibly smooth, that the data was organized in the way that they really wanted to see it. And I think we saved that team a ton of time. So yeah, really fun to see our customers take advantage of all the new features that we put into the product.
Well, with my CEO hat on, Micah, and just like someone that loves building product, these are huge strides. I'm super excited, both for what we saw today and what's coming up next. And so I don't know, I'm coming away with this one feeling really satisfied.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. Ride the high from the boat party at Gartner. Product's doing well. We're doing good things, Justin.
Okay. Well, I'm grateful for all of our customers or people interested in StrikeRav that showed up for the webinar today. And thank you, Micah, for sharing. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye-bye.